After a couple years of seeing this warning come on and go off, along with a next screen that says you have 98 miles until your speed is limited to 65 miles per hour, I'm finally getting around to make the repair. We bought this truck new in 2023, and it was almost immediate that these warnings started. We had it into the dealer a couple times. They couldn't really find anything. I just sort of dealt with them along with the check engine light because it never affected the performance. It wasn't on all the time. Every time I read the codes, it was always the same emissions code and one other. I can't remember what it was. But the app on my phone would also give me the emissions warning. At first, I had the opinion that I wanted to do most everything with the dealer because of how crazy expensive a new truck is and because we had a bumper-to-bumper warranty and all that jazz. Everything was going okay until we were traveling, and all the lights came on again almost immediately after the truck turned 36,000 miles. Interestingly enough, that's when the bumper-to-bumper warranty expired. I find it ironic that right after it turned 36,000, during our trip, the lights came on, and this time it also needed a computer update. This is when I sort of got a sour taste in my mouth when, they wanted to charge us $600 or $700 to do a couple of things, since nothing was but those things weren't under warranty anymore. I still have the engine and drivetrain warranty, but anyway, I started to figure that I was going to start doing repairs that I felt like I could do. So I started troubleshooting and trying to figure out the codes, and I became suspicious that it was a bad DEF injector. I couldn't find any videos on replacing it on a 3.0 DuraMax, so I decided to make one myself. Now, let me be clear, I'm not a professional mechanic. I have worked on my own cars for most of my life. So if you choose to follow these steps on your rig, you do it at your own risk. But I hope this information is helpful for someone, and I appreciate you watching. So in replacing the DEF injector, first thing I did was jack the truck up, take the front right wheel off. The injector is located right up in there. So the first thing we need to do is take the wheel well liner off, which there's a bunch of little Torx bits to take off. I'm not going to video all of that, but I'll start up again when I get it off. Okay, I've got the liner off. And also I forgot to mention, before you climb underneath the rig, make sure you've got jack stands and you shake it. Make sure that thing is stable before you decide you're gonna crawl underneath here. The DEF injector is right here. That's where it's at. It's got 3 hoses and the cable. It's actually not too tough to get to or to remove. I'm going to pause here for a second. The cable, you can see it's got a little clip that holds onto this hose right here, but the cable winds around the back, and if you can see my hand on the other side here, I'm pointing right there is where it plugs in. This connector is kind of a pain. I popped it loose from this Christmas tree fastener, and it has this red locking piece on the top here that I've got to get off before I can release it. Get my hand up in here. That hole right there, that's where this fastener goes through to hold the clip. If I can get that around here. But now you can see I got a little tool in there and pulled this red clip out. Comes out about 1/4 inch. And now I can depress I can depress the little button there so I can unplug it and get it out of there. But I can't hold the camera at the same time, so I've got to turn it off. Okay, I'm back up top now. Have my cable unhooked and pulled out. This line right here is the DEF line. And I believe it just has some tabs on the side that'll pull it apart. These two lines are coolant lines, and my understanding is when you pull those off, it will leak some coolant out of there. So I've got a pan underneath to catch it, to catch that coolant. The DEF line just has this little collar here that I was able to get started. Took a second, but I was able to go in the back side and loosen these little ears, and then this comes right off. Okay, I got the coolant hoses removed. They were a little bit of a pain. They were kind of stuck on there, and the clamps are kind of in there at awkward angles, but just play around with it, you'll get it. Okay, the last thing to remove to get this injector out of here is this collar right here. Now, unfortunately, this bolt is a Torx head, and well, I haven't invested in Torx head sockets yet, so I already have it loose. It wasn't that tight. I was able to get it off, or to get it loose with a 1/4 inch socket. And so in case there's any haters out there, well, I got it off and it's just fine. So I'll show you a picture of it here in a second. While I have it mostly loosened up, I haven't removed it yet, I wanted to point out there is a little spring clip right in here. So make sure that you don't lose that. And so the first time I took this off, the spring clip dropped out and it was somewhere on the frame or something like that. But just make sure that you're aware that that clip is in there and it will come out. And then the collar comes off in 2 pieces, so it connects up here on the top. So just be aware of that when you're taking it off. Because when you get it all the way undone, it'll fall apart into pieces, and so it's important to know how it comes out of there. Okay, so here's the collar, as I mentioned. I just kind of stuck it back together for a second. It has this piece coming off, and when that goes back on, that piece will point towards the outside of the vehicle. This is the old one, the old DEF injector. It's got about, I think we're coming up on 50,000 miles, but I'm so sick of the check engine light coming on and the emissions light coming on and going off. This is what, if it'll focus, that's what my injector looks like. I believe the new part cost me around 125 bucks. At the dealer, for them to do it, I think they were going to charge me like $700 or something like that to put a new injector on. I'm getting tired of dealership stuff, things that I know that I can do myself. So I'm going to go ahead and get it put back on. The other thing I wanted to mention is the injector has these tabs on it. It's got 2 on one side and 1 on the other. Those have to be aligned when you put that back together, or it will not go together properly. I'm not going to show step-by-step instructions on putting it back together, because all you have to do is reverse the order of how I took things off, and you ought to be able to figure that out. But I hope this is helpful. I could not find anything to give instructions on this model of truck, which is a 2023 3.0 DuraMax. It's a Sierra. And so I hope it's helpful, and thanks for watching.